In 1961, John F. Kennedy made his bold proclamation of landing a man on the moon and bringing him safely back to Earth by the end of the decade. Just a few months later, the Saturday Evening Post published an article on the 25 reasons it was impossible to get to the moon. But in 1969, Neil Armstrong took one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. SARRC has also overcome the impossible. SARRC was co-founded, for instance, after Matthew was diagnosed and Rob and Denise Resnick were told to prepare for institutionalization. Boy, did that doctor ever underestimate who he was talking to. Today, Matt is a high school graduate, an entrepreneur who founded Smile Biscotti and employs other adults with autism. And with a groundbreaking anticipated for later this year, will move not into an institution, but into his very first apartment with our sister nonprofit, First Place Arizona, in late 2017. This morning, you've learned what is possible in autism. And we've been asking ourselves, in the world of autism, what is impossible today that we will make possible tomorrow? What is SARRC's mission to the moon? We'll consider where we've excelled over our first 20 years. Thanks to the talented, dedicated team at SARRC, we're among the best recruiters in the country for pharmaceutical and genetic research studies. We're an entrepreneurial nonprofit that develops and advances innovative programs across the lifespan. We are rigorously committed to clinical excellence and meaningful outcomes. We've engaged a supportive community to help advance our mission, and people everywhere are starting to take notice. In January, for instance, John Donovan and Karen Zucker, highly acclaimed journalists from ABC's Nightline, published their now New York Times best-selling book, In a Different Key, which documents the history of autism dating back to the very first person ever diagnosed. Recently, Donovan and Zucker joined us at Changing Hands Bookstore, where they highlighted a passage from the epilogue of their book that refers to SARRC as, quote, widely admired and one of the pockets of excellence scattered across the United States. But we know the pocket simply isn't big enough. 1 in 66 children in Arizona have autism. Early intervention holds tremendous promise, but more than half of kids aren't identified until after 4 years, 7 months. There are endless wait lists. And nationally, effective services are almost non-existent for the 500,000 children about to become adults this decade. We know we can't do it alone. Rather, broad social change will depend on our ability to work with and through other committed organizations, autism and non-autism alike. Our next 20 years, then, will be about making Arizona the national leader in autism identification, services, and support. We will challenge the sobering outcomes reflected in our national statistics by demonstrating what is possible right here at home. We will not be focused on trying to be better than everyone else, but on how we can help everyone else be better. And in doing so, the outcomes we observe at SARRC will be made possible for those who never even walk through our doors. Here are 4 ways we will leverage our expertise and extend our reach. First, SARRC will create partnerships that change or improve systems. As you heard from Dr. Smith, we can change the barriers to early intervention by improving the systems for early identification. Imagine if every pediatrician in Arizona began screening at 12 months. The average age of diagnosis would drop considerably, and children could complete 4 years of treatment before even entering kindergarten. We also need effective screening programs in our schools, both to catch the kids that don't see a pediatrician as well as those with Asperger's, who often go undetected and therefore untreated. But what if schools began universally screening for social impairments, just like they do vision and hearing impairments? We're going to find out. In partnership with Great Hearts Arizona, a highly regarded charter school network, we're establishing procedures for universally screening their 11,000 students beginning next fall. With a partner like Great Hearts, we know this is just the first domino to fall and may create a statewide model for other schools to follow. Second, SARRC will establish a network of aligned autism providers to implement SARRC programs. In January, we opened our first SARRC Community School expansion site in Tempe. But more importantly, we're learning what it takes to replicate, with the goal of helping other autism service providers implement SARRC programs across the state. And SARRC will provide the required training for effective program implementation. As you saw earlier, we know this is already possible beyond Arizona's borders, as 5 Canadian cities are now running Community Works. Thus, our strategy is not to compete with other autism providers, but to combine our efforts for broader impact. Third, SARRC will invest in technology that disseminates our education and training programs. Jumpstart, SARRC's flagship program for newly diagnosed children, has impacted thousands of families across Maricopa County. But with technology, we can run Jumpstart more efficiently. Thanks to our friends at BHHS Legacy Foundation and New York Collaborates for Autism, we're developing Jumpstart 2.0, online e-learning modules of the educational components of Jumpstart, more than doubling the number of families we can serve locally and allowing parents to be able to learn from home. Once created, we'll then push out these modules through our future network of aligned autism providers who will be implementing Jumpstart throughout the Valley and across the state. And fourth, SARRC will help others build inclusive, supportive communities. We can take the first step by effectively teaching the skills those with autism need to thrive. But equally important is that they have access to and opportunities in an inclusive, supportive community. And this is where our community really shines. Here are just 3 examples of what you, as part of our inclusive, supportive community, have made possible. 1, since 2010, the Scottsdale Civic Center Library has donated the space for our Beneficial Beans Cafe, which provides internships that prepare adults with autism for employment. Further, Beneficial Beans products are now sold through 7 retail partnerships in 12 Valley locations, including Terminal 4 at Sky Harbor Airport. 2, the national employment rate among adults with autism is only 10%. Yet 66% of the adults that we served last year obtained competitive, meaningful jobs, thanks in large part to our committed employment partners. And 3, for over 5 years, this community has been buying and/or selling baked goods from Stuttering King Bakery, making owner Matt Cottle one of CBS News' most inspiring stories for people on the autism spectrum. SARRC will help transform other places into inclusive, supportive communities. Together, we can share ideas, leverage resources, capture stories that inspire, and open more doors for individuals with autism and their families. And to get us started, Donovan and Zucker will be returning to Phoenix next month, this time with PBS NewsHour, to feature this community in what they're calling an autism metropolis. But 20 years from now, we anticipate going from a metropolis to an entire state, one that influences practices and policies across the country. This is how we will challenge our national statistics, which fail to represent all we know is possible in autism. Arizona will have the lowest average age of diagnosis in the country. Arizona will be known for everything from effective early intervention to high rates of employment and independent living. Arizona will demonstrate the reduced costs and economic impact that inclusive, supportive communities create. And that will be one small step for SARRC, one giant leap for individuals with autism and their families. Thank you.